Hello, fellow mood readers. Happy Halloween. This will be going up the day before, so I'm really excited. We don't really get very many kids Halloweening recently, so it kind of just feels like a good time to read a bunch of spooky books and watch a bunch of horror movies. And I also recommend spooky gaming, because we've been playing Silent Hill 2 Remake, and it's pretty great. I really like it. I think they did a really good job. So today I actually have, as it's the very end of October, I'm going to be doing my wrap up because my next read is not being finished in one day. So for anybody who's curious what my next read is, I'm so excited. I cannot wait, but look at this beast. I'm so excited. But without further ado, I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I've read during the fall. So you'll see August, September, and October books here, and I'll let you know which books were which month. So starting out with August, I do have my little notebook. October is my favorite color. I don't know. It's really fuzzy and it's really soft and it's orange, so I liked it. So starting off August, my first book that I finished is Whisper Down the Lane. I'm going to pop that up right here. And that for me was a 4-star read. Clay McLeod Chapman he's pretty consistent. I've only read 2, but the writing on both was really good, and I definitely want to read more. I do have Some Kind of Mother also over there on my TBR cart. I definitely want to read more because I've only read Ghost Eaters and Whisper Down the Lane, which I gave 4 stars, like I said. This is kind of a true crime based type story, influenced I think by the Satanic Panic. It kind of has a couple of timelines that you follow. You follow Richard in kind of like a more recent timeline, and then you go a little bit in the past and you follow Sean's perspective. I thought this book was very interesting. I really liked the writing here. I really liked the characters. They were very, very different, and I really liked how just the story just went together. Even if you could see a few things and you worked things out before the conclusion came, it was still a really good book. Like the journey there was great. So this is well worth the read, and I did like the weaving between it. When that's done well, I really like it, but when it's not, I don't. But it's done well here, I think. I do have a little guest down here, so if you see her popping up, say hi, Mimi. Right? Yeah, I do have a little guest, so she's just keeping me company here. She's just chilling out with me. So my second read is going to be The Night Ends with Fire by KX Song. This one I gave 4 stars, and this one is the Mulan retelling. The characters were great. I liked Mei Lin, the main protagonist. The book is beautiful. Can't really go wrong there. I really loved the magic system here, and I liked how it was just enough of Mulan influence, but it wasn't a full copycat. Like, this diverged very quickly, but you could get little snippets of Mulan through the whole thing. I liked how everybody was portrayed. I liked all of the descriptions and everything. Just a really good overall book. Like I said, 4 stars, and I will be continuing to the next one when it comes out. So let me know if you give this a read. So next up, we're actually back to the spooky. So I have Nestlings by Nat Cassidy. This was my first time reading this author. I actually picked this one up and it was signed. I did enjoy this. I gave it 3.5. There were some unlikable characters here, but I like when they're done well. There were some parts of it felt a little bit slow. There's my bookmark. I was looking for that. I like when unlikable characters are done well, and some of the characters in this were pretty unlikable. Certain parts just, I think, pulled me out just a little bit, which is why I got a 3.5 for me. It's still well worth the read. I wouldn't go into this knowing too much, so I'm not going to talk about it a whole lot. I like that it's set in New York City. I like that it's set in like one of those older buildings. I love the take on the monsters in this. That's what kept me going. I loved the take on the monsters. And I think the weirdness is perfect. It had a strangeness there at the end, I think, for me. But overall, I definitely think that it's worth a read. I just think for me, parts of it were a little bit slow and some of the decisions were a bit questionable. I definitely recommend this if it sounds interesting to you. I definitely will be trying some other Nat Cassidy books. I'm looking forward to the next one that he's been teasing and talking about, and I've heard a lot of great things about Mary as well, so I definitely do want to give some of those a try. So next up, I have The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas, and I gave that one 4 stars. I really liked Isabel Cañas' other book, The Vampires of El Norte. I think that The Hacienda was just as good. Both of them were 4 stars for me, so anything this author comes out with, I will definitely check out as well. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the haunted house. The characters were great. They were all very different, all done very well. I liked Beatriz and Padre Andres. I think that the way that the hauntings were done, I liked all of that. So I highly recommend The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. And I did really like The Vampires of El Norte also. And I think both of them are well worth a read for your spooky seasons. So this one is going to be my last read of August, and the next book will move on to September. So this is Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. The only other thing I read by Sarah Pinborough was a short story in Hark the Herald Angels Scream. I believe that was the only thing I've read by her. This one was very different. I gave this a 3.5 as well, just like Nestlings. The characters in this were very unlikable, most of them, and sometimes it was a little hard to listen to them justify what they were doing, so it lost me a little bit there because I knew the decisions that were happening. Just like, I get it, I don't mind unlikable characters, but sometimes the whole book through a perspective of unlikable characters, it just depends, honestly. But I will say, I saw some of the twists. There were multiple twists, and go into this with as little knowledge as possible. It's very different, and I absolutely loved the premise so much. Like, what was actually happening was very cool, and it does have a name, or it's very similar to something else, and it just reminded me of that through the entire thing. But I don't want to name it because I don't want to give anything away. I want you to slowly come to that in here and have it revealed there. But I think that this one has, very mixed reviews. I enjoyed it. My mind was kind of blown there at the end. I was not expecting that, and I really liked the end because I did not guess that. That's for sure. I think that, like I said, go in knowing as little as possible. I think this has an adaptation actually now. I haven't seen it, or if it is out, I'm not sure. I thought I heard that this was getting an adaptation. So I'm really curious to see that. The 3.5, because some of the things I just don't know. I did listen to this on audio, so maybe I'll try actually reading through it and see if I can catch like other hints and see the rereadability. But for now, it's a 3.5. Okay, and like I said, we are on to now our September books. And I'm not going to spend too much time on these because just in case you watched my reading vlog from Practical Magic, I did kind of put in a wrap up there for September, but just in case you didn't, I wanted to throw these in and just kind of do an overall fall wrap up. So first is going to be Kujo by Stephen King. This is on the lower part of Stephen King for me, and it's nothing against the book, and it's nothing against Stephen King. I listened to this one. I didn't read it physically, but I listened to this one on audio, and I thought it was done well on audio, but it's very hard to listen to Kujo, when you've had some puppies. Poor Kujo, my heart broke for him. The characters, I don't know, maybe I'll give it another try later on. I watched the movie before I read this, so I kind of went in knowing a little bit about it, but you really get a feel for the characters more in the book, and that really says something too about Stephen King's books, that he could write a book that takes place in mostly like one area. Like, he does diverge to the husband, some of the other people. You get a feel for everybody in this, but you don't get that really through the movie. So I think the book is definitely better. Maybe I'll go 3.5 on it. I'm still thinking about it. I do like King's character work. I just think that there was a little bit of a disconnect for me with Tad's Closet, because it felt like he was trying to connect too many things in a certain way. Like, it just felt a little bit incomplete to me, and I just don't think that I don't think it worked as well for me as it did for others. And I do wonder about the rabies. Like, parts of it tried to make it seem like it was a bit supernatural, like he was under control of something else and not just the rabies. But I don't know if that's what he was going for, and it just felt a little bit disconnected there for me. Overall, I think he did a good job with the story, though. So like I said, I'm not going to talk too much, even though I talked a little more on Kujo than I thought I would. But my next read is Malice by John Gwynne, and you've heard enough about this, so I'm only going to say 5 stars. Really great. I love everything John Gwynne has written that I've read so far, and November is going to be a very John Gwynne heavy month. I'm planning to read The Fury of the Gods next, and then Valor with the same book club that I read Malice with. I think Malice was a little bit weaker than the Bloodsworn Saga. It jumps perspectives, so you follow a bunch of different perspectives. You have Corbin, you have Evnis sometimes, you get Veratus, Nathair, and sometimes you get Cywin, who is Corbin's sister. So I think that the character work is very good. I love the fight sequences. He's very good with writing the fighting, and I cried during this, and I thought that he would break my heart again, but he always does, it seems like. And I cannot wait to continue this in November and also read the last of the Bloodsworn Saga, which is amazing. And if you like Norse mythology, you will like pretty much all of John Gwynne's writing, because even this one had a little bit of a Viking-esque feel. So I think that if you like Viking, if you like Norse mythology, it does lean more heavily in the Bloodsworn Saga. I mean, look at the cover. Also, if you enjoyed God of War, the newer games, steeped heavily in Norse mythology, you will love Bloodsworn Saga. Just saying. But also buckle yourself in, because all of these books are massive. But they don't read that way. They're very, very... I just love them. So I've blathered on long enough. Pick up a John Gwynne if you don't mind fantasy with multiple POVs, because that seems to be the thing that happens. So if you don't like multi POVs, you're probably not going to like this. But just know that even if it seems like a lot in the beginning with characters, you'll quickly see how he will keep bringing back the same ones that you are supposed to remember, and certain things are talked about multiple times. You'll get to know them, so no worries on forgetting who somebody is. So next up, I do have Practical Magic. I did a vlog where I vlogged reading some of this, as well as watching the movie and doing a bunch of fall-themed activities. So if you want to hear more about this one, you can go over there. I'm sure most of you have seen the movie by this point, which I did really enjoy the movie a lot. I think I actually liked it a little better than the book, but both of them are fantastic. So I did give this 3.5, but I did round it up to 4 on Goodreads. Definitely pick it up if you're feeling a bit witchy. I was surprised at the differences between the book and the movie. In the book, which is understandable, you get to be with the characters a lot longer in a book than a movie, and I understand the direction that they went in, and I did like it. But I did like in the book how you got more of Gillian's story, and the ants are great. I really enjoyed the ants in the movie, and I did enjoy how they were in the book as well. Look at this cover, it's beautiful. I'm still on the fence about continuing on with some of the other ones in there. I think I will, though. I think there's a prequel. I can't remember if one of them is a sequel, but I think I'll give them a try. So next up is the last September book, and that is the Tommyknockers by Stephen King. So I think part of me is thinking about the comparison between Kujo and Tommyknockers, and I think I might go up to a 3.5 for Kujo, because I liked Kujo more than I liked the Tommyknockers. I think it was definitely better written, but I did like parts of the story. So this one was also a 3, but I think this is going to be my 3, and then Kujo is going to be 3.5, because the characters were better. In the Tommyknockers, there is a lot of stuff that's kind of out there, and I don't think cohesively that it worked very much for me. But and some of the things felt a little bit ridiculous, but they were still kind of fun. So three stars for me for Tommyknockers. And I did start to watch the made-for-TV Tommyknockers, and I could spot some differences right away. I think we made it through the first half of it, or at least the first half of it, because we did side 1 of the DVD, and now we have side 2. This is definitely not one of King's best, but it was still a lot of fun. But there were things in here that, I don't know. I ended up actually listening to this on audio, and I think that I did like the audiobook, and it definitely helped me get through this, but it still took a while, because some days I only felt like listening to a little bit, and then I was like, okay, I think I'll listen to music now. So I didn't like blow right through this like I did with some audiobooks. So on to October books. The first one I finished was a little bit from September, and that's Fahrenheit 451. I saw Rachel was reading it for Banned Books Week, and I'd always wanted to give this one a shot. I did own it physically, but I didn't realize that I owned it, so I actually ended up listening to it on Libby. My Libby hold came in. This one is a classic. It's a banned book, so definitely read some banned books. This is my third read of this author. I read Something Wicked This Way Comes, and I read The Halloween Tree, which is a great read for October. It's a tiny little Halloween book. It's well worth a read. So if you haven't read that one, give it a shot. But this one is dystopian. It's very bleak. It's set in the future where firemen don't put out fires. They start them because they burn books, because books are not allowed. So I think that it lost me a little bit at the end. So I did give it 4 stars. But I thought that the prose was really nice. I enjoyed this one. Guy Montag was definitely an interesting character. You could kind of see his trajectory a little bit there. I did enjoy the way it ended, though. I just think that that's a good way I think that was probably the best way that you could have ended this. But everybody was quite interesting. Clarice was something. The younger neighbor that he had, Clarice, was kind of the one that made him start questioning things. I definitely think that these banned books are very relevant, and I definitely want to keep reading more. I think we have a couple of them, and I've been trying to make my way through some of them, but these books are important, and they shouldn't be banned. I also like how, I absolutely love this cover. It's very telling, and I quite like it. So definitely read your banned books. We're getting towards the end of this. I don't have too many books left. I did talk about this one, my 5-star horror reads. So if you haven't watched that, you could give that one a shot too, if you want to see some of my 5-star horrors. This one is Schrader's Chord by Scott Leeds. I listened to the audio of this. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was very different. I really liked it. I liked the music talk. I liked a lot of the things. Although there was one part where I didn't agree quite with the music opinion. But you're entitled to your opinion. You could tell that Scott Leeds probably really loves music, and the horror imagery in this is great. I don't really want to talk about it too much because I did, like I said, already talk about it, but it's a fantastic book. and I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to read anything else this author comes out with as well. Also, look at that cover. I really like it. So my next read is actually another 5-star, which is exciting. I really love getting those 5-star reads that really hit home and that I love them. So the next one is The 13th Child by Erin A. Craig. This book is amazing. I loved it. I love how my friend said this perfectly. She said that she loved how creepy these feel while still being cozy. So, and I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I like how creepy she gets without going full-blown horror. And I just love the imagery. I love her atmospheres. I love her characters. They're all different. They're all very different. And I thought that this whole idea was just great. I loved the premise. I love this cover. Erin A. Craig still continues to be an auto-buy author for me and a TBR skipper. But in this, you follow Hazel. She is the 13th child to her parents, and they are asked by all of the gods to give her to them because the 13th child is a very special child. And they give her to Merrick, who is the god of death. I just think I love this book so much. Look at that. Aunt Merrick right there. This is the Barnes & Noble edition. The regular edition is also quite special. It doesn't have the gold edges, but underneath it has all red, and it says Hazel on it instead of Merrick. I think it's going to be hard for any of her books to beat Small Favors for me, because I really loved Small Favors so much. But House of Salt and Sorrows and House of Roots and Ruin are both amazing books. 13th Child is really good also. I love it, or else I wouldn't have given it 5 stars. But I definitely love how creepy it is. I love how the things happen, and some of the parts I couldn't believe were happening. Like it's such a great story, and you feel bad for Hazel because so much has happened to her. I loved the vibes. I loved how cozy her writing is. Her books are like a warm blanket, and I'm looking forward to everything else that she writes. So without a doubt, go pick up any of Erin A. Craig's books, but check out 13th Child, check out Small Favors, House of Roots and Ruin, and House of Salt and Sorrows first, as House of Roots and Ruin follows that. I love this author, and I hope if you pick up any of her works that you do as well. So next up, I have Black Mouth by Ronald Malfi. I gave this one 3 stars. I did not enjoy this one as much as Come With Me. The writing was good. The characters were good. Some of the characters I vibed with a little bit more than the other ones, but I don't think that this one really worked for me too much. The main villain, there is a main overarching villain here, and I don't know. I was kind of wondering. It didn't go in the direction that I thought it would here, but I did like it. I did like the parts right before the end. I kind of had a feeling a little bit once a certain character was unveiled. I kind of had like a little feeling about something I thought might happen, and I was correct a little bit. There were definitely aspects of this that took me out of it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to. I listened to this one on audio. The narrator did a great job. I think for me, Come With Me is still my favorite read of Ronald Malfi's. I'm still looking forward to reading Small Town Horror. Next up, we have Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. I listened to this one also on audio and gave it 3.5 stars. I did round up to 4 stars for Goodreads. This one I didn't love as much as a lot of other people did. For me, the parents kind of just started to get really annoying. And I really didn't like to, I don't know, parts of it just didn't work for me. I thought certain aspects were very creepy. Other Mommy was certainly different. She was one of the biggest parts of this, and your main protagonist being a little girl was very interesting, and I enjoyed that for the most part, but I thought that a lot of the adult decisions were not great. and just the parents just were not my favorite. So the ending actually kind of was very interesting. I definitely think you should give this one a go if you've been curious. So next up, I have One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware. Ruth Ware is usually a 4-star author for me. I don't think I've hit 5 stars for her books before, but this is the first 3-star one for me. I didn't enjoy this one as much as her others. I think my favorite one is still The Woman in Cabin 10. This is definitely my least favorite, but I still enjoyed it. So I gave it 3, and I liked parts of the end. I can't believe that it ended the way that it did, but I understand. This one was not what I was expecting, actually, and I was actually kind of surprised by that, so that's why I wanted to keep going to see how this ended, because I was like, there has to be some kind of other thing, and just there wasn't. So maybe that was more my thing, but this just wasn't what I thought it would be. And I don't know. Just the characters, they were okay. I think she did a pretty good job with this overall. And this concept, it was definitely something. This one just didn't work for me as much as the other ones did, so I settled on a 3-star for this one. So next up, I have my next book that I just recently finished. And I have another one that I actually probably will update at the end of this video, because right now I'm not quite done with it, but I am almost finished, and I will probably finish it up on audio tomorrow, but I'll give you that one after this. For me, this is my first read for this author, but it will definitely not be my last, and that is The Reformatory by Tommyknockers. This broke my heart a lot. I cried a couple times. It was beautifully written. I love how Tommyknockers did the multi-perspectives on this. I thought it was very well done. And then towards the end, I really liked how it got down to even what time it was and everything. And I just think that everybody should read this book if you haven't. It's so sad and so real, and just, it broke my heart a lot. Like I said, I sympathize with Robert and with Gloria, because I can't believe that things like this happened. Things like this were ever thought of as anything that should happen. Like, it should never have happened. It should never happen ever again. And I just think that it's heartbreaking what they've gone through. And I definitely recommend that if you read this, you read the author's note as well, because you could find out a little bit more of how the story came about and just get a little bit more background as well. But for those of you that don't know, this takes place in the South in June 1950. It's based on a real place. What was it called? The Dozier School for Boys, but in here it's called the Gracetown School for Boys, or the Reformatory. And it's just incredible how scary just people are. Like, just the scariest parts of this are the human beings. Oh my god, it's just, sometimes I really wanted to continue the story to see what happened with Robbie and Gloria, or Robert and Gloria. Sometimes I just didn't want to pick it up because I felt sad, and I didn't want to keep going right then, but I absolutely wanted to finish this. I absolutely wanted to see the end. This was so beautifully written, just heartbreaking. Definitely pick this up if you haven't read any of Tommyknockers. I highly recommend it. I will be continuing on with her work. I think probably The Good House might be my next pickup, because I've heard a lot about that one, but I highly recommend this. This was an amazing read, and I think everybody should be reading it. It was just fantastic. Absolutely heartbreaking, though. I have tissues ready. So the next one I'm going to talk about, you'll see this part, and then I will update you on it as well after, so you may see a slightly different everything. We don't know. This next one I'm listening to on audio, but it is definitely one to pick up, and it was available on audio, so That's Devil's Creek by Todd Keisling. It's probably best to read this one. Like, the pages are gorgeous. There's maps. There's like a little bit of everything in here. I wanted to dive into one of the occult books that I had on my TBR, and when I saw this was available, I just picked it up, and I figured that I could get in this audio and finally listen to another one that I had on my cart. So I will update you again afterwards. It's definitely quite something, but like I said, that physical book might be the absolute ultimate way to go. And it's been nice kind of actually glancing through and seeing it. You get a little bit of everything when you're looking through it here, and it's got some pictures there. Quick update. So I did finish another book. I did finish Devil's Creek by Todd Keisling. I gave this one 3 stars. I didn't like it as much as I wanted to. Certain parts for me just weren't my thing, but I still did get enjoyment out of other part. I thought a lot of it was interesting. So as an update, I did finish this, 3 stars. It's a tough one. I can't even name a favorite from these past few months just because I had a couple really great books. That is my wrap up, and I really hope that you enjoy watching, and I hope that you all had a great reading month as well. Let me know your October reads. I'd love to know if you had any 5 stars recently, and I will see all of you in the next one.